Hi, welcome back. In our previous lecture, we walked through the README at the root of the project and went through some of the motivation of the course, why Elasticsearch reference was used, how would the course environment look, and so on. In this demo, let's go through the Visual Studio Code interface, which is what we will be looking through the entire course, and understand some of the main files, folders, images that will help us refer back to whenever we are searching for a concept. Okay, let me switch to Visual Studio Code now. So this is my Visual Studio Code, and as you can see, there are two main folders: Elasticsearch for relative context and OpenSearch. Now at the same level, we have the README, we have the Visual Studio Code extensions, which we talked about in the previous lecture, and how to install them. Now, under each of these folders, you will have a My Tutorial. The same structure would exist for OpenSearch. Since we would be looking at OpenSearch majority of the time, let me expand this, and the same would apply for the Elasticsearch for relative context folder as well. There is a course names.md. Now these were all the names of the course I was mulling to when I was preparing this course. Now ultimately, I have come up with AI and ML search with OpenSearch as the name of the course. The requirements.txt contains all of the Python libraries that will be used in this course, and hence once you have established your virtual environment, you could use this file to install all of the necessary modules or libraries. Now, under the My Tutorial, the structure is going to be data, which contains all the data sets that are used in this course. Docs. Docs contain the markdown files. The entire documentation is captured in markdown files. This is the most granular level of documentation that we have on the course. And so if you are referring back to the course or searching for a keyword and you want the expanded details, you could always come to the markdown file. For example, you could open this course and you can see why OpenSearch. They are organized into various chapters or sections, as you can see: intro, use cases, installation, managing indexes, and so on. Now, corresponding to each of these docs folder, wherever there is a script code execution that is necessary, it exists under the scripts folder. So for example, here you can see there is a chapter or a section called installation and configuration, and you will find a corresponding installation and configuration under scripts, which contains the code, either Docker Compose files to start up your infrastructure, or it could be a Python file or a shell script. We'll take a look as we start executing each of those. So coming back to the scripts folder, scripts contain the entire code that is executed for this course. Now, under the scripts folder, you might find some folders which do not have a numbering, as you can see: load, snapshot, restore, and non-OS. These could be some real-time projects or some non-OpenSearch concepts that we want to introduce before we delve into the depth of a concept. For example, in the non-OS, we talk about semantic search as viewed from a perspective of sentence transformers. Similarly, we look at retrieval augmented generation using ChromaDB and OpenAI. This is only to introduce the concept, and once it strengthens, we apply this concept entirely in OpenSearch. Now, as we go through the scripts, there might be some .env files. You might not find this when you check out the repository, and the reason being they contain passcodes or OpenAI keys. So I will let you know when you have to create this file so that it can be consumed in the code. There might be some helpers file. The helpers file contains the code. As you can see, it has about 546 lines of code. At the beginning, you might not appreciate why this exists, but as you execute more and more code, when you want to organize your code into functions, you can, which is what I have done here. As you can see, I have various functions here. In this case, OpenSearch client by passing in some parameters and so on and so forth. So this is code that is organized into functions, and later when I have to repeat writing a certain piece of code, I just call the functions with the necessary parameters. Let me close this. There is a notebooks folder. I've not used this very much, but if you find any notebooks, um, as I began this course, one of the notebook I wrote was initial.ipynb. We might not use this in this course. Now coming back to the documentation, all of the markdown files are here. The corresponding markdown files in PDF forms would be here, which will be under docs, PDF, VZprint. Now all these are auto-generated. The script for generating these files would be here. For example, you can see generate MD markdown to PDF VZprint. Likewise, you'll have generate markdown mermaid diagrams and then generate mermaid images accordingly. Now I will provide all of these as downloadable materials, but in case you want to generate your own, you could just run this Python script, and then the Python script reads from the docs folder and generates these folders and all of the content underneath. Now there is a folder called UI. We are not going to demonstrate this in the course. The reason being, I'm building a UI app, end-to-end UI app with open platform, and this is not yet complete by the time we are writing this course. So this would be in a future course. That said, under a real-time project, you will also find migrate to OpenSearch, which is under Elasticsearch for relative context, and then shell commands, which we will be using both on OpenSearch and Elasticsearch because there is parity in terms of executing these commands either on Elasticsearch or OpenSearch, and the syntax and the execution results would pretty much be the same. Okay, so that said, I believe we have covered. Oh, there is a .venv, VENV, which stands for virtual environment. This gets created when you create a new virtual environment in Elasticsearch. Again, we will walk you through how to create this virtual environment in the installation configuration section. Okay. All right. So that's about the folder organization structure. Thanks for listening.